Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be going over this antique piece of furniture within my home, kind of going over where I purchased it from, how much I paid for it, and then of course kind of how I've styled it. So thank you for joining me, and without further ado, let's jump right on into it. So this piece was purchased from Marketplace actually around 4 years ago when we started the renovation process within our home. It was listed at the time. Our house was in shambles. We had stuff everywhere. We were nowhere near the point of furnishing by any means, but I always tried to keep in the back of my head, if I find a piece that I love and I have the means to store it, which we fortunately did, I'm going to buy it because I know that there's going to be a spot for it within the home, and especially with antique pieces, at least where I live, it is difficult to come by large pieces of furniture like this, and then also at a price point that's reasonable. So I jumped on the listing, I bought it, we stored it in our garage for a little bit until we had everything kind of laid out with our flooring. When we were ready to furnish the home, we brought it inside and I absolutely loved it. So if you get that gut feeling, again, like I said, that you love something, but you don't know where you're going to put it yet, I say go for it, because there always seems to be a spot that things do work. And this piece in general, like, we have it here within our home, but we can move it to multiple pieces and I know it's going to last me a lifetime, and it's just a super functional piece for us. So Marketplace it was purchased from, and I bought it for actually $75, which is crazy. In my opinion, I thought it was a really great deal for where I live anyways. It's solid wood. The character is so nice. And antique stores here usually charge upwards of, like, I would say it would be a couple $100s at least if I were to go to an antique store. The antique stores where I live as well typically do not carry large furniture items, unfortunately, so we're very limited on finding big furniture items. So that was another reason that I purchased the piece, just knowing that I likely wouldn't come across something like this again for quite a while. So all in all, it was a great piece. I'm so happy that I bought it, and it's been super fun to style. So talking about, I guess, the details of it. So when I buy antique pieces, I really love to keep them within their kind of natural state, if you want to call it. I don't love changing the look of it too much. I think that's why I'm originally drawn to a piece, is because I love the look of it. Of course, if something isn't really feeling great once I get in the space, I mean, changes, of course, do what you want and it makes you happy, but overall I wanted to keep it pretty original. So I kept the stain color, which I think is great within our home. I have tons of white walls within my home, and tons of neutrals, so I just needed to add in some contrast and some darker tones, so it was perfect with this stain color. The hardware is all original. I'll just shut the doors here. It's got this really cute latch detail, which I loved. I've just added a little tassel to the knob here. The glass was all perfect when we bought it, which was a huge bonus. I wasn't really up for having to repair glass and fix the panes and all that kind of stuff. So I kept that all the same. It's got the open shelving on the kind of top half of it, and then the bottom, which we will get a nice video or shot of, has some closed storage. So I think that is also awesome to find antique pieces that have both of those. It allows for functionality, but then it also allows you to display all those pretty pieces and have some fun with styling. So again, a super great, attractive thing about it. The only thing I did change with the piece is the backdrop. So when I open it fully here for you guys, you can tell that it's all white inside. So this back panel was actually painted this kind of orangey, or sorry, it wasn't painted, but it was a natural wood of that orangey kind of tone. I didn't hate it, but I just felt like everything I was putting within the cabinet was not really popping the way I wanted it to, and I love seeing my items. I love being able to, you know, look at them, and they were just kind of getting lost within there. So I gave it a quick coat of paint with some white. I left the shelving natural. Again, I don't love changing things unless it really feels wrong and feels like it needs to be. So I kept everything kind of slow in the beginning in terms of changes, and so far I feel like it's working quite well in terms of showing off and displaying those pieces. So we did that quickly, and then I also added a picture light at the top of the cabinet. I've got a plug in behind here, so it was perfect. We just plugged it in. And yeah, that was a thrifted picture light. It was perfect for adding that kind of ambiance at night. It lets off a really pretty glow along with the glass and everything. And then it allows for those pieces to kind of shine at night and not just during the daytime, which is really nice. So that is kind of the cabinet, the changes. Moving on to what is inside of it, I will give you guys a run through of kind of where I've purchased everything from, and then of course the details of it. Most of the items, I will say before we jump into that, is curated over years and years of secondhand shopping. I love shopping secondhand. I think that it is super fun. The thrill of the hunt, number one, is really fun, I find. But then I also think it allows you to find items that are unique, that are different, and ultimately you can create a look that sets your home apart from someone else's. And I think that is what I strive for in my home. I love being able to walk into my house and say, this is unique to me, and it feels like me. I think that that's so homey, I think, and makes you feel good and happy. I don't think that there's any rules to design in terms of the way you need to style things, or the colors you should use, or patterns, or anything like that. Ultimately, if you're attracted to a piece, whether it be at a retail store, secondhand shop, buy it, because you're the one who has to love it. You have to love your home. You're in it every day. So I don't think following certain rules is really great. I think you should have fun with it, and that's kind of what I did here, and I hope that shows. So I will go through the pieces, and then we will kind of see where it takes us in terms of how I created this look. So these books here, again, 2 of these are thrifted. This one was a birthday gift. I've got some design books and some cookbooks in here. And yeah, I love books. They add some great height. Yeah, they're just so easy to style with, in my opinion. So I definitely scatter those throughout my whole home. This piece here is a marble bookend. It does have a matching one. I recently thrifted this. I love that it is solid marble. I think a tip for anyone when you're decorating your home is to source some natural materials, whether it be real wood, marble, the list goes on, but all those materials that have that natural texture, look, authenticity, I say go for. A lot of people, I think, refrain from doing that because they associate it with a high price tag. And that is totally the case for some big retail stores. I think Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel kind of get put in that category of, buying those high-end materials can, for sure add up. But majority of the pieces that I'm buying that are really good quality have been purchased secondhand, and they don't have a super large price tag. They're still that quality. They're gonna last a lifetime. So it is possible to achieve that look, but on a budget. So definitely keep your eyes open for those kind of materials. This piece of pottery here was purchased from a trip I went on to BC. It is not a lamp. This is a piece of pottery and a lampshade kind of tacked on top. I kind of came up with the idea and I loved the look of it. It probably won't stay like that forever, but for now I thought it was nice to add a little bit of contrast. This was a thrifted lampshade. It was a plain white one, and I had some fabric that I thrifted as well, this gingham material. And so I did a little project one day with the intention that it probably wouldn't work out. It is nowhere near perfect. It's got like so many imperfections on it, but from afar you can't really tell. And I think that it's fun to kind of explore that creativity in whatever you're doing for your home. So I've left it here for now. It is not functional. Like I mentioned, it's all kind of a fake look, but yeah, I thought it looked kind of cute. So that is that. This shell here was thrifted. I loved the kind of pattern it had. I love mixing patterns, very neutral patterns, but I love pattern. So I've incorporated that. These bowls are, I think, a French soup bowl. They have like a little lion head on the side. I love French decor. I'm super inspired by French pieces. I think they are so timeless, classy, and they make a home feel very cozy in my opinion. So I bought these thrifting and I have used these bowls for multiple things. And I think that is another tip that I would give you guys if you guys are shopping secondhand. When you look at a piece, you might see a bowl, for instance, in this case, but I have used these bowls for multiple purposes. So soup bowls, planters, catch-alls, and yeah, I think that that's a great way to kind of open your frame of mind and realize that just because it's a bowl doesn't mean it needs to be used for that. So these have been great. This piece up here is a real antler from a deer, I believe. It was bought secondhand as well. I am not into taxidermy. I don't support that. Although I do have, you know, a deer piece here. I thought it was unique in the thrift store when I saw it, and it kind of is a nod to where I live. I live in an area that is filled with deer. I love our deer. They are like my precious animals. Yeah, it's so nice to look out our window every morning and see them. So although this isn't the greatest way to represent that, I did like the look sculpturally of it. We have a basement downstairs, which we are going to transform into a whiskey room. And I really love the look of adding antlers and stuff like that to the wall. So I'm hoping to move those down there and kind of add to that rugged whiskey room vibe. So that is that. This piece here is a antique or a vintage silver bud vase. I have tons of these within this cabinet. When I find an item, I tend to collect things in super crazy numbers. You can see within this cabinet, I just have them scattered throughout. I do not need like 15 or 20 of these at all, but I keep buying them because they're a great price, and I love them. Like, I always find a use for them within my home, whether it be on a side table, in a cabinet, gifting it to someone maybe. So I think that when you find something and you collect it in large numbers, it's just a sign that you just love it. And so I keep buying them even though I do not need this many, but I do love the look of them. So this is a little piece of greenery from HomeSense. I would love to put real greenery in here, but we are nowhere near the hot months of our summer and nothing is growing currently. So I will hold off. This is I think it's called a fennial. I probably am pronouncing that wrong, but it's cast iron. It is just a cool, again, sculptural piece, super heavy. Again, a lot of the items within here don't make sense. They're just all random. But again, I think that that's what makes the cabinet feel unique and styled differently. So this has no purpose really being in here, but I thought sculpturally it was kind of cool. It would make a great paperweight. Who knows? But for now, I have it in here. This is an antique cattle bell. I bought that years ago from an antique store, and I love the kind of patina it has to it. This one here is a French mustard jar. I kind of have them scattered throughout the whole cabinet here, but I've never really seen them in that brown color. So I picked it up. These are great for storing paintbrushes, silverware, whatever really, flowers. I just love them. I love the age of them, and so I scoop those ones up whenever I see them. Two more books over here. I've got two more books here. Again, this was all thrifted. This was thrifted, these two books. This piece of pottery was purchased from, I think it was BC. When I was traveling, I bought it, and I love the contrast with the black. I love adding black throughout my home. And then the glaze on it I thought was really pretty as well. Again, like a different texture, and yeah, it's lived with me for years now. Another French mustard jar. I have some silverware that is passed down from my great grandma in here. And then this here is a lighter. So I thought it was so neat. I thrifted this one. It is solid marble and has some brass on it. And I just think that finding pieces like this, it's a conversation starter because you don't really see them like this anymore. Like, I guess, uniqueness of finding something like this and knowing what our lighters look like today. I think that that's so neat that you can kind of go back in time and see, you know, the history of what things used to be. So I love that, and I love how unique it is. And so I've kept that there. And again, it's kind of a nod to using those natural materials like marble and all those things. Speaking of natural materials, I've got some coral that is authentic. I love coral, adds great texture, and then also different shape to a piece of furniture or display. And so yeah, I've styled that on these two shelves here. These figurines are terracotta figurines that I have thrifted as well. Again, this is one of those pieces that I have like a stupid amount within my home, to be honest. I find them quite often. It started years back when I went to an antique store. I found one there and I looked at it and I was like, well, this is probably something I'm never gonna find again. I better get it, I love it. And then I went thrifting and I kept finding them and finding them. And then I kind of realized that I love them. And again, I started collecting them. So they are throughout my whole home, but I love them. I think that they add, again, a super nice texture. They add a lot of patina and they're just unique. Not everyone would have them. So I love styling with those. These are some larger bud vases, same kind of thing with the silver. These are super dirty. They could use a shine, but I also love the patina of silver sometimes. So I keep those kind of dirty and not totally polished here. Those were all thrifted as well. This was thrifted. It is a clay little bowl kind of thing. Again, super good texture. And yeah, not something that you would find, you know, maybe at a retail store or anything like that. So we actually store our garage remotes in here. So great for hiding some things. We have our garage off the back side here. So again, a super great place for just tucking things away nicely and neatly. Moving on to the shelf, these are two thrifted pieces of pottery. This is an antique jam jar, and then this is a salt glazed pot. And yeah, I love those pieces as well. Whenever I see antique pottery, I always go for it. It is just really one of a kind and then adds that age and that patina. So I love those. More of these bud vases, again, of course. Moving on to this piece here, we have a ironstone. I think it's a soup tureen kind of pot or whatever you want to call it. I'm not quite sure. I've recently got into thrifting ironstone. I love ironstone for the simplicity. I love that clean white, of course, neutral look. So yeah, I picked it up. Ironstone, I will say, can be hard to find for me, not because I don't see it a lot, but because it's hard to find in the less detailed look, I guess. So it's often very ornate. It can be quite colorful, and I tend to lean more in towards that minimalistic, simplistic look. So I will not buy it if it's too ornate. It's just not personally my style. So I loved this one. It was super simplistic and totally matched that look I was going for. Another piece of coral, bud vases, and then these are those mustard jars in the beige color rather than the brown. This is a stack of wooden bowls or nesting bowls. Those were all thrifted. I love those as well. Again, kind of adds a different texture, natural element with the wood. This is a thrifted book that I got with, again, another ironstone piece. I picked that one up, super simplistic lines again. So yeah, I was happy with that. This is another antique piece of pottery. And then this piece over here is actually from HomeSense. So it's like a clay little vessel. I do buy new pieces, even though most of this cabinet, like I said, is thrifted. When I see a new piece from HomeSense or other stores, and if I'm attracted to them, of course I will buy them. I'm not opposed to buying brand new whatsoever. I just find that for me personally, budget-wise, and then also just unique-wise, I have a lot more success furnishing my home, decorating my home with secondhand items. So I encourage you to try it. And yeah, hopefully this inspires you to design something with secondhand items, or just at least give you ideas of how you can maybe recreate that with retail items. So yeah, I thank you for joining me in this video, and I really look forward to doing another video on another area of my home real soon.